Every day on the forums or on Reddit or even just down at the card shop, I see people leaving Magic the Gathering. Sometimes they say it's because the game is too expensive. Sometimes the reasons are simply that the game does not hold their interest as it once did. And more often than not, they say that they simply don't have as much time as they once did. Every now and again, I hear someone say that they are sad to be going, but that they don't see a way to stay. And when I hear this, I inevitably think about when I quit Magic the Gathering almost 20 years ago. It was 1996, and the last set that I was still playing in and buying boosters of was Alliances. I saw nothing in that set that really interested me. I didn't play competitively, not even at the local card store level. I was just a casual MTG kid who had recently turned 18 and didn't fully understand why my game was changing. To me, sets like Antiquities and Arabian Nights, Legends, and The Dark were what a Magic expansion looked and felt like. Many of these had already ended when I first started playing MTG, so getting some of those weird, black-bordered, exotic cards to add to my collection was always something special. But Revised Edition was Magic the Gathering to me. That was the set I started playing in. When 4th Edition came and replaced it, I didn't quite understand its purpose. It was just a worst revised for the same price as far as I was concerned. Where were the dual lands and why were they gone? I didn't understand. Now, Ice Age impressed me. That was something special. But Fallen Empires and Homelands most certainly did not and were not. More and more I looked at those cards and I didn't even see how casually with my friends I could even play with them. Why bother with Thalids and Minotaurs when you could have Nightmares and Shivan Dragons and Force of Natures, Lightning Bolts and War Mammoth and Gigantic Growth? That was Magic the Gathering to me. So when I graduated high school and moved out for college, I was roommates with a very dear, very old friend with whom I played most of my Magic with. Alliances was the final nail in the coffin. No, we didn't think Force of Will was anything other than trash, and since we were only playing games against each other, we felt the game winding down, for us anyway. And it certainly didn't help that my friend had discovered the absolutely broken combo of a Netling Imp with a Royal Assassin. What could you do against that? Any creature you bring out was just going to get killed. I tell you, it was like he solved the game. Ah, youth. I remember the day I bought my last pack of Magic cards. I really do. It was a pack of Alliances. I read each and every card in that pack, standing right there in the store, and I deemed them all pointless and worthless. I remember the guy behind the counter was trying to tell me that good things were coming. He was pointing to this big cardboard ad for the upcoming set, Mirage. But it all just sounded like more of the same to me. And it was right there in that card store that I decided to quit. And not too long after that, my friend decided that he was leaving Magic the Gathering as well. So what do you do when you leave? Well, my friend and I both quit, but we went about it differently, and I want to talk about that difference in just a moment. But first, I want to talk to anyone who might be thinking of leaving. Too expensive? Lack of interest? Here's some ideas you might want to consider. Get out of Standard. Standard is one of the most expensive and time-consuming formats. Its rapid-changing nature requires an enormous amount of study, upgrades, time, and financial commitments just to stay viable for going down to play Friday Night Magic. Standard often leads to fatigue, and if you are thinking of quitting because of that fatigue, then I suggest, before you do, try breaking into another format. Formats like Modern, Commander, or even Legacy have a stronger consistency to their environment. Once you learn, for example, what the Legacy environment is like, it seldom is going to change, and certainly not overnight. You don't have to be constantly memorizing hundreds of new cards or chasing madly after them. You might also try keeping just one deck. Having just one deck to focus your thoughts on actually frees up a lot of those thoughts. So if you've got bigger, more important things to think of, like, work and school, not having to worry about a giant collection and half a dozen fluctuating and constantly needing upgraded decks can be just the relief you need without having to quit the game entirely. Get through college with just a red deck wins, eh? And also, before you do quit, just try a hiatus first. Don't rush into, or in this case, out of anything without at least giving yourself time to think and time away. Take a break. Take a breath. Go on sabbatical from the game for 1 month, even 3. See how you feel after a break before you go and get rid of your entire collection. Once it's gone, it's gone. Which brings me to the difference between how I quit Magic nearly 20 years ago and how my friend did. When I quit, I sold my cards. Prices on those dual lands had shot up to over $10 each, and so I was able to put my entire collection up for sale, and I got upwards of, I think it was like $400 for it. A fortune for an 18-year-old college student who was living far from home with very little, if any, financial support. But when I excitedly told my friend he could probably sell his collection for the same, he told me no. He wanted to keep it? But you're not going to play it anymore, I argued. Why keep it? And he told me because he may want it someday. Maybe not to even get back into the game and play with. After all, what adult plays something like Magic the Gathering? But he said that it had been such an important part of his life and that he'd formed such fond memories that he wanted to be able to take his cards out of a box one day and remember that game and that time in his life. I thought he was just being very silly. But do you know how I got back into Magic the Gathering several years ago? That same friend took out that same box of Magic cards and showed them to me. And he said, "Remember this?" The feeling, it was unbelievable. It was like a bottle of time had been opened and uncorked. And I was back in those days again. And I was back into Magic again, too. Well, my friend ended up putting those cards back in his box and back in the closet. I had rediscovered the game. And I can tell you this, I wish I had not sold my cards, and no, not because I had a bunch of dual lands and probably a stack of unplayed Force of Wills. I don't regret it because of money that I lost. I regret it because each card was a piece of my past. The Shivan Dragon and the Serra Angel and the Force of Nature. Things that I had touched and held in my hand and that had been a connection to me when I was in high school. And I'm not telling you not to leave. People leave, and if you need to, then you should not be sad about leaving Magic the Gathering. Why? Because leaving this means your life is taking you somewhere new, and that is fantastic. And I'm not telling you to not sell your collection either, because for many of us that money is needed and you should always attend to your priorities. I'm just telling you what I know, what I did, and what my friend told me all those years ago. If the events in our life are like pages in a book, then it is nice to be able to go back to those pages from time to time and flip through them again, if only just to reconnect with who and what you once were, or maybe to show them to your own child someday. And talk about events, my goodness, 57,000 subscribers as of the filming of this video. I'm sorry that I didn't do it at 50,000, but I really wanted to revise this Magic Memory to be perfect for you. And in so doing, another 7,000 subscribers shot up. But we are doing another Q&A, and we're doing something very special because, you know, it's the 50K Q&A. I guess it's going to be the 60K Q&A, but it's a special Q&A. Here's what I want to do, and this is going to be really neat. I want you to leave your questions as usual in the description for this video, but I promise you, unlike every other time, I will not read them. I will not even peek at them. And instead, Wedge from the Mana Source is going to read them, and we're going to do a live Q&A where he will ask me your questions, the questions that he selects from this video live, and I'll have to answer them on the spot with zero, and I mean zero preparation. I will not know what's coming. And so I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and you guys can all watch live, and we'll announce once we have a date set. But ask your questions here in the description, and Wedge will select some to ask me live and see my unedited response. Thank you again and always for all you've given me.